There goes my ride and my link to civilization. All right, we're at the lower Max Patch parking lot. Good morning, everybody. So we're starting our hike going southbound today, back on trail. So, as I've been saying for a while, I started my hike on February the 22nd from Max Patch, and we're right below the climb up to Max Patch. I'm not going to do that again. I hope y'all understand. I did that back in February, and that would be about a 3/4 mile up and a 3/4 mile back just to get up there. And since I've already done that as a part of this hike, it didn't make I love it up here. It's pretty. I've been up here several times, but we got big miles to do, and I've already done that as a part of this hike. So I'm at the parking lot where I actually started back in February, and now I'm headed south. So going to be a big day today, about 16 point something miles. I'll look at it and get specific, but the first few miles, well, not the first few feet, but the first few miles are generally downhill, and I got one pretty good climb as we go up to the top of Snowbird Mountain. I think it's about we start at 2,900, go to 4,200, so it's about a 1,300 foot elevation gain. So we got that in front of us today, and then a big downhill into Davenport Gap across Interstate 40, and then just into the edge of the Smokies is where we'll end our day. So that's the plan today. So we got a lot to do, and it's 8:30, not too bad considering we got up and we traveled a pretty good ways this morning just to get here, and a lot of it on back road, dirt roads kind of stuff. So it's going to be a beautiful day. It's nice and cool here. I think it's 61 degrees when I get out of the truck, so that's welcomed. It's been a couple weeks since I've carried a bag and done some hiking, but yeah, I'm hopefully I won't have any major issues with the mileage, so we'll see how it goes. But that's the status, and again, if you want to see my hike from Max Patch, go back to day one and you can see it. Actually, I'll probably add in a few pictures and clips from that hike so you can kind of get a taste of what that looked like. The weather is way different today than it was on that day for sure. So hope everybody's having an awesome day, and we'll look forward to catching up with you further down this long path into the Smokies. Have a great day. All right, everybody, just a quick update. We finished up pretty close to 2 miles so far. And you can see the trail. I've had some ups and some, small ups and downs, kind of rolling. And we're about to start a pretty good downhill, about 800 foot drop off. And you can see the trail. And, you might notice it's void of any large rocks or roots. I really don't know what to do with myself here. So I've actually had to kind of slow myself down a little bit. I like to go as fast as I can, but at the same time I have to be reminded myself that this is a bit of a marathon, not a sprint. So as much as this seems like a trail through the park, we've got to take our time and make sure we don't do anything stupid and hurt ourselves or whatever. We are back in the southern U.S. where there certainly are critters. So we got to focus on the path a little bit, not so much looking for rocks and roots, but looking ahead down the path for anything that might look like a copperhead or a rattlesnake or something like that. Hopefully we won't encounter any of that. The last time I saw a copperhead on the trail was in Davenport Gap, which is where we're going today. So yeah, it's that time of year. mid-August. So it's not unheard of. So we just got to keep our eyes open for stuff like that. But, you know, otherwise it's been a really pleasant hike. I had a little concern, you know, and I still probably have some of that concern that after 2 weeks of not hiking, you know, how's your body going to do in terms of conditioning? Have you lost it all, you know? And I'd say I've lost some. I feel pretty confident of that. I have been doing my best to do a little bit every day. You know, typically I would walk at least 6 miles, sometimes 9. And it's hard to replicate what you're doing out here, for sure, with uneven ground and carrying a pack and all that. So I just tried to stay a little bit in shape and hopefully be okay. After a day or two, I think, of hiking, I should kind of fall back in my groove. But yeah, when I first got home to Atlanta from Maine, I felt almost emaciated. I was skinny. I'm still light compared to where I started. You probably could see that picture from when I started at Max Patch. I was at 239. I was kind of a chubby boy. And when I finished, well, last time I got on the scales, I think, well, I was in Maine somewhere. I can't remember where. I was at 209. And so I'd lost 30 pounds. But it almost felt like maybe it's more than that. And I've been off trail now for 2 weeks, and I promise you I've gained 10 pounds back. So I've been eating pretty good. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think I had lost too much weight and certainly too much muscle. So I lift weights a little bit and try to build a little tone up. Still got more to do around that. But it was a well needed time off. And it's kind of cool now to be back on trail, particularly in unfamiliar trail that I've hiked before. And so it's pretty neat. So I think it's going to be a good day, good several days. We'll talk more about the general plan further along, but today we're going to focus on today. And the focus of today is go downhill gradually here for about 800 feet. And once I reach the bottom, which is not here, not at the end of this decline, but once we finally get our lowest point, we'll start climbing up to Snowbird, and then we have a really huge downhill. So lots of downhills today, and I'm feeling pretty good. There's only one thing that's a little tweaky, is my left knee, which feels great on flat ground and feels great on uphills. It's just the beating I took, coming up and down these big steep rocky mountains, when we're up north. I think over a while it kind of added up on me, but I think it'll be okay. But I can feel it a little bit when I'm going downhill. But other than that, I feel pretty good. So we'll keep on pressing on, and we'll see what we see. Hopefully we have a view back towards the Smokies. I'm sure we will when we get up on Snowbird, but it's it's like a jungle here in these woods with all the leaves on the trees. You just don't get in a lot of long range stuff until you get up on a bald or on top of a hill or something. All right, we'll talk more as we get further down this path. All right, everybody, we just hit our low spot, climbing up to our higher spot for today. And so again, we're at about 2,900 feet, and we're climbing up to 4,200 feet to find ourselves at Snowbird Mountain. And it's getting warmer. We got a long gradual climb here. Certainly better than some I've been doing, that's for sure. So not worried about the climb. It's just going to take a little bit. And I think it's over about 1.5 or 2 miles actually to get to the top of Snowbird. But yeah, it's heating up, it's warming up. But overall I'm doing good. Ate a Snickers bar and it was satisfying, as the commercial says. So going to keep on pressing on and probably huffing and puffing up this mountain. And we'll catch up with you as soon as we get up top of Snowbird. Have an awesome day. All right, everybody, that's where we came from. And that's the trail we're going on. I stopped here for you can see there's probably a little bit of water there. Not a lot of water. I don't know that I need water right now, but it's a good, cool place to stop. It's currently a little after 12, and I'm not very hungry right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this opportunity to rest and drink some stuff and eat some stuff and press on. We're still not to the top of Snowbird Mountain. It's been a pretty good climb. I'd say still yet a bit of a gradual climb. There's been some pretty steep spots, but nothing compared to what I did, in New Hampshire. So we just continue to kind of pound it out. We've got about 200 feet to the top of Snowbird, which is 0.7 miles away. So we've still got a good bit of walk ahead of us yet to the peak, but we've got most of the climb behind us. So I'm just going to grab some food and some drink and relax for a few minutes and then head on. I did, interestingly enough, run into a guy I've met before. His name is Gutsy. I think we met first time in Virginia going north. He's from Blacksburg, Virginia. Actually, I think he's from Germany. He's got a heavy German accent, but he lives today in Blacksburg. And he started his hike in Virginia, and then he hiked north, and I saw him again in Maine. We were together in Maine at one of the hostels, and then he finished his hike in Maine maybe 3 or 4 days ahead of me, and then he flipped back to Georgia, and he's heading north back towards Virginia. So he'll end his hike in Virginia. So we just kind of crossed our paths here on the trail. So we talked for a good bit. It was good to see him again. I got a picture of him I'll show you. And so it's I really didn't anticipate seeing anybody I knew out here again, but sure enough, we have. But anyway, hope y'all having a great day. I'm gonna grab some food. We'll head on up the trail. All right, folks, we're finally getting closer to the top of Snowbird Mountain. I know this because it's a rather exposed mountaintop. Not actually what you'd call a bald necessarily, but exposed. Right now, instead of being exposed to rain or wind, it's exposed to the sun. Good bit hotter up here than it has been inside the tree line. So we've got some gray skies. There's no rain in the forecast today, but as most of you know, this time of year it can just pop up pretty much any time. Unforecasted, just happens. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe we get some this afternoon, or maybe we don't. Not sure. Y'all saw that picture of me and Gutsy, and funny story about Gutsy. The reason he got his trail name, we were back in Virginia, and he had just started his hike, of course, in Virginia. So there's a lot to learn, and he had just opened the first of many, I'm sure, of those dehydrated meals. They kind of just simply heat up some water and pour in and wait 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then eat. Well, inside each one of those packets or those bags, there's one of those little freshness packets. And like I say, I think he originally is from Germany or something, I'm not sure, but he thought that those little freshness packets were some type of seasoning, flavoring, added salt or whatever, similar to what you might have with ramens. So he worked and finally got one of them open, and he poured it into his food, cooked it up, and ate it. And you know, he didn't, and people just like was shocked, you know, shocked at what he had done, hoped that he was going to be okay. He didn't get sick or whatever, because I mean, on the side of the package it says do not eat, probably in a number of different languages. And but he ate it, and he got through it okay. And from there, someone said, boy, you must have a gut of steel. And from then on, they just simply called him Gutsy. So funny story about Gutsy there. He's still kicking, although he looked like he had lost weight since I saw him in Maine. So this trail will wear on you for sure. And I'm sure to him, and maybe even to you guys too, I look like I've gained some weight since you saw me last. So, and I'm happy about that, to be honest with you. It just wears on you after a bit. You just simply burn way more calories than you can possibly intake on a daily basis. So after a while, you start looking like a scarecrow. So anyway, we'll be up here in just a minute, and we'll show you the top of Snowbird. All right, so we are at the top of Snowbird Mountain. As you can see, there's some kind of weird something up here. We're talking to aliens or something, I think. On the app I use, they describe it as a communication facility. I don't know, usually you think communications, you're thinking some type of towers or something. I don't see any like cell towers or really even satellite type of stuff. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But someone had said one time, I remember a few years ago, that they thought it was some sort of radar, you know, used for managing plane traffic, airline traffic. I don't know. Let's just leave it a mystery. It's more interesting if it's a mystery. So it's the top of Snowbird. It's been a few years since I've been up here, and all these scrubby trees were not here. It was a lot more like a bald at the time. Now it's starting to look like a jungle, but getting heavy, thick. These trees just grown like crazy. So anyway, that's Snowbird. So we have in front of us about 7.5 miles left to go until I get to the shelter that I am targeting, which is Davenport Gap Shelter. And from here, it's pretty severe downhill, at least severe for around here. It's 5 miles, and most of it's downhill. So, of course, in this area in the south, they're wise and use switchbacks a good bit, so it's not just a straight pounding down some rocky ridge. It's, you know, it's going to be more of a casual, slower moving, winding downhill, but nevertheless it's 5 miles downhill. And then we come to Interstate 40, we cross over, and we've got about, I don't know, maybe 2 more miles up to Davenport Gap and the shelter. So that's our plan. That's where we're headed. So we'll keep you posted as we see anything cool on the trail like that. Hope everybody's having a great day, and we'll catch up with you down the path. All right, everybody. Got a little bit of a power line view. That's the Smokies. Way up on top of that mountain. That's pretty much where we're going to be tomorrow, if everything goes well. We'll climb up there. Got big elevation gains planned for tomorrow. We'll be up cracking over the 5,000 foot mark, I'm pretty sure. I can't give you the specifics yet, but I'm pretty sure where we land tomorrow will be over 5. But yeah, today's been a pretty good day. You know, I made good progress. No problem there. And I think from a cardio standpoint, I'm good. I think I just, my joints, you know, from climbing over the big rocks and coming up and down these, you know, rock cliff mountains, I've kind of paid the price a bit on my joints. And I knew that they were sore when I was at home, thinking that, you know, 2 weeks without doing anything really crazy might give them an opportunity to get completely better, but they did not get completely better. So I kind of feel it a bit, and some of it's just not being in condition too. So I think tomorrow when I get up, I'll be a little sore, be my guess. But that's not so unusual, really. So we're just going to keep on going downhill. We've been going downhill for a long time. I said it's 5 mile downhill, and some of it's been more of a dramatic descent than others. This is obviously not so bad. It's actually very good. And so we're slowly making our way down, and we'll cross under Interstate 40, and then start heading up towards the Smokies. And we're going to park it. The plan is to stop at the Davenport Gap Shelter, but there's probably other options, you know, in that area too, where you got water and a nice campsite as well. So I don't necessarily have to make it to that spot. It's just what I'd planned for. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be crossing under interstate here in just a few minutes, I think. All right, everybody, we just crossed under Interstate 40. I forgot to film that part, but we just crossed over under Interstate 40, and now we're crossing over the Pigeon River. Now, Pigeon River is the one that came out of its banks and washed out a good portion of the interstate up there as it went through the gorge between North Carolina and Tennessee. So it was out several months after Hurricane Helene, and then ultimately they were able to open up one lane and get some traffic through there. So I'm not sure when it's going to be completely 100% back to normal operations, but it's not yet, I can assure you that. There's still traffic flowing oddly through there. So yeah, we've got all that behind us, and what's in front of us is the Smokies. So we've had a pretty decent day today. I don't know how many miles so far. I'd say 14, maybe 14 miles. And we got a couple more miles to go, really, to get where we're going. So we're going to head up this mountain and make it happen. All right, everybody, that's where we came from. We've been climbing up towards the Smokies for a pretty good while. We finally reached Davenport Gap, which is just a road crossing right down below from where we're standing, and it also marks the entrance of the Smokies. So this is where the Appalachian Trail runs into the Smokies. So I've already taken my permit. There's 2 pieces of permit that you tear in half, and one part you put here at the entrance. Just drop it right in here, which I did.
And then the other half you carry with you in case, you know, one of the rangers want to check your permit. And then at the end of the trail, as you exit the Smokies, which is in about 75, 76 miles, you take the other half and drop it into the box. So that's how that works. And so we are officially in the Smokies. So I'm right now about a mile from the shelter. So I'm gonna go ahead and press on and get there. I'm moving a little late. It's about 15 minutes till 5. But, you know, of course, with the drive that we had up this morning, it's about 80 some miles. I started a little later as well. So I'll be starting a lot earlier in the morning, I'm sure. But nevertheless, we got another mile to go until we get to this first shelter, which is called the Davenport Gap shelter. And there we'll settle in and check out our home for the evening. Okay, folks, we have finally achieved our plan for today. It's getting kind of late. I'm starting to worry. And made it to our destination, which is the Davenport Gap shelter. I think we know where the water source is, probably the spring right there. So this one's a little different from most. Okay, in fact, it's different from any other at all. You can see you got a chain link fence out front. And why would you do that? Well, the thought on this one, in fact, this is the last one that's like that. There was several, I would say, shelters in the Smokies that were like this. And the idea is you don't have a place to hang your food bag, I don't think. And there's not a bare box. So you just carry everything inside with you. Sleep in here with your food and everything else. And lock the gate behind you. Close the gate behind you. So if a bear really wants to get to the food, then they obviously cannot get past the fencing. So that's kind of the idea there. So I know it's probably kind of scary that, you know, some people are like, oh man, that means that there must be bears, but not really. I haven't heard any reports of bears at this particular location. So I'm pretty whooped. 16.3 miles today. Haven't done that in a little while. So the miles themselves and the train really didn't surprise me at all because I've done it before. But I think the heat and the humidity and probably the lack of conditioning. I tried to stay in some condition while I'd taken a couple of weeks off, but the reality is you just can't, you simply can't replicate doing 16.3 miles up and down these big old mountains with a pack on. So I knew it'd hit me kind of hard, and it's been a difficult day for those reasons, but we have prevailed. And so I'm gonna settle in here and go get me some water, plan on getting me some food, kind of get cleaned up, and set up my sleeping bag and everything inside the shelter. And yeah, do all the stuff I'm typically do every evening. So kind of get back in the routine again. So I hope everybody has enjoyed the video and my first day back. And tomorrow we'll start a bit earlier, probably with the headlamp on, climbing deep into the Smokies. So we should have a pretty big day tomorrow in terms of climbing. So we will catch up with y'all first thing in the morning. And what I said about it, evening thunderstorms have popped up. Not in the forecast at all. But I'm glad we got into the shelter really just in time. And I think we're going to have a place to ourselves. In the meantime, I'm about to have some chicken teriyaki. Should be delicious.